Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Welcome to Red Storm Chasers. I'm Vincent here with Craig and Nick. On this episode, we'll look back at the Butler and Villanova victories. And we'll look ahead to the Providence matchup, Creighton matchup, and Seton Hall matchup, guys. Big, heavy week on the pod.
Lots
of St. John's basketball focus. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good? Doing well?
Feeling good.
That's what we like to hear. Nick, how we doing? Good?
Everything is A-OK over here, baby.
That's all we can ask
2-0 last week. Can't ask for anything more.
Great week.
Certainly. Great week. We're coming off a great week. And hopefully heading into a great week.
Just feelings are really good right now. The vibes are vibing.
I mean,
Wow.
you know, we talked last week about how, what we thought the week was going to be, hoping for 2-0, and our dreams came true.
I think we had 3 votes for 2-0 last week.
Well,
Yeah.
Some of us were positive. Not all of us, but some of us were. Anyway, before we get into that, I got a question for you guys, as always. This one's a little interesting one, a little timely. So I don't know if you caught the end of the Saints-Falcons game. It was on Red Zone.
I had Red Zone on, but
Okay.
I didn't watch it necessarily.
All right. We'll go through a scenario here because there's little sparks after the game.
Oh.
Arthur Smith's now fired anyway, but he's a main player in this story. So it's the end of the game. The Saints are up big. They're up 40-7, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
40-17 maybe. It's in hand. The Saints get an interception. The Honey Badger gets an interception and returns it to the 1-yard line.
I did see that.
Okay. There's no time left, or Atlanta doesn't have any timeouts. Okay. It's the end of the game. They're up by a lot. Kneel the ball, right? You kneel the ball and you end the game. So the Saints send out the victory formation. Jameis Winston, backup quarterback, in. And instead of kneeling the ball, hands the ball off to Jamal Williams, who dives in for a 1-yard touchdown.
Really?
Ooh.
I didn't know that.
Arthur Smith comes out, in my opinion, correctly, after the game, walks to midfield, and you can see him say it to the Saints head coach. He says, "That's fucking bullshit," which is correct. And now to the Saints coach's, I forget his name. I don't know.
Dennis Allen.
Dennis Allen, thank you. To his credit, he said, "Yeah, I know."
You just admitted it. Yeah.
Was it an audible?
So let me get your initial thoughts here, okay? Before you hear about what actually happened, that's what actually happened, I should say. Before you hear about the background of what happened, give me your thoughts on scoring the 1-yard touchdown there.
Part of me is like, it's the NFL, so like they're grown men, so just stop them.
Yeah.
Is it kind of a dick move? Like, yeah. I mean, it is. It 100% is. I'm not gonna say it's not.
It was with a
kinda
minute
like
13 to go. Just so I can give you the full information. It was with a minute 13 to go. They were winning 41-17.
Yeah, I mean, they should have done.
You just
I mean,
gotta nail that. You can't do that.
There could be an extenuating circumstance, though, which I'm assuming.
I'm assuming there is. I want to hear this story, but my initial thought is, it's like it's like at the end of a basketball game when somebody's up 30 points and then they shoot a 3, and it's not like a walk-on, right? It's like a starter or something like that, or they dunk it.
So you would both say
sorry.
they should have knelt it in this situation.
I think
I would say you run out the clock, you win the game, you get the game over with.
I mean, I would say if you want to do that, then you better be prepared for whatever the consequences may be.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree. I'm in agreement with you. I think you go out there. There's a level of respect, just on a human level.
I mean, the game's over.
The game's over. You go out there, you kneel it.
This was wasting everybody's time, frankly.
So fast forward now, we get to the post game press conferences. Arthur Smith clearly upset, as he should be, very much so. Dennis Allen gets in his press conference and says, I want to start by apologizing to Arthur Smith and the Falcons. That was not okay, not acceptable, and it was not the play that we called.
Oh,
Okay. So, basically admits to having a player mutiny.
sure.
Jameis Winston gets interviewed, the guy who called Hike, and what he said was this. He said that we wanted to get either Jamal Williams, because he hadn't scored a touchdown this year, or Jimmy Graham a touchdown. And basically that, well, if Matthew had returned the pick for a touchdown, would that have been wrong? So they felt like it was okay.
It's not an unfair argument.
No, it is. The answer is it is. You know why? Because a pick six is something that happens in the middle of play, right? So the way I look at it is you're in the middle of the play, you're reacting to what happened. I got the ball, I'm going to run for a touchdown because that's the game.
True.
Here, it's over. It's clearly over, right? You are making a decision as to what the next thing in the game will be with the clock stopped, winning the game by 30 points. By or whatever,
the game was over when he made the pick. They were up by 35
listen,
points with a minute and a half to go.
I think there's people who make an argument, and they may be right too, that he should have slid down earlier than the one. But I think in that moment, I can see returning a pick because you're in the middle of a game.
It's different.
You're in the middle of a play.
It's totally different. I get that.
Right? And with all due respect, the Falcons guys on that play on the interception are trying to, A, knock the ball out of your hands, and B, tackle you in a way that continues the game.
So you know what I think is...
Whereas on a kneel down play, they're not doing that.
Well, I think part of it also is the going in victory formation and then running the play actually makes it worse. Because
100%.
if you lined up for it and they didn't stop you, whatever it is, you essentially told them you're going to run it and you didn't, they didn't stop you. Going in victory formation is it's a little sleazy because it looks like you're going to victory formation
you're trying to
and
sneak
you do
it.
it. Like you said, the other team's like, all right, we're giving up essentially, and now you're just pounding it in.
It's like, what? Yeah.
But I understand trying to get Jamal Williams touchdown, who led the NFL in touchdown last year.
Again,
0 for the year.
Again, I think that's okay if you don't line up in victory. First of all,
I agree.
I also don't think it's okay in this scenario. But I think if that's your thing, don't line up in victory. You can't line up in the victory formation, and it's like.
I agree.
Yeah, no,
by the
you
way,
gotta line up in power.
If you were to get hammered,
to a further thing, I think people who call victory formation and stand there for a minute until a defender gets close, you should be able to hit him. You shouldn't be able to dance or to fake kneel down as a guy comes to you. If you're going to be in victory, you should call hike and kneel. That's what you should do. And anything besides that is bush league. And I think, and what happened here is even worse than that.
Yeah, it's absolutely bush
But
league.
famous Jameis.
I can tell you, he's not going to have a contract next year for doing that.
Yes, he will.
Yeah, he will. He'll be fine.
Oh,
He's still on the Saints. He's still on their
I
contract.
mean, I guess you're right. Probably
And he's still
minimum
he's still
contract.
Jameis Winston, man.
He got eyes.
He's still got the potential, man.
Great-
He's still got an arm.
Great
50
backup quarterback.
They
touchdowns,
don't
50
care.
interceptions. baby.
Arthur Smith got fired. What do they give a shit about?
Great backup quarterback. All right, let's get back into St. John's basketball talk. Sorry, I wanted to see what your thoughts were.
It's an interesting scenario.
Interesting, for sure. Well, we had a great week. The St. John's Red Storm certainly did. He started the week in a very important game at Carnesecca Arena. It was Butler coming in, Posh Alexander's return. Butler playing extremely well, above expectations. St. John's obviously a 1-1 week to start Big East play, or I guess, start. That was the official start of Big East play, even though we had Hofstra in the middle there.
Yeah.
And we dominated.
Dominated.
Wire to wire win, 86-70 victory against Butler. Now, Posh Alexander did have a bit of a a stick it to you kind of game, a little bit for him.
In the first half.
In the first half, 11 points for him, 6 rebounds,
Silent in
5
the second
assists. He did go silent in the second half. But listen, I'll respect Posh Alexander. Appreciate his
We're
service.
big fans here on the pod.
We're big fans, and listen, I understand it just wasn't a situation for him.
He got the reception that he deserved when they announced him in pregame. Got a loud applause. And
Nothing but respect.
Well deserved.
And well deserved. I mean,
He was our guy for 3 years.
Yeah, I know, 100%.
A good soldier, right? He did what he should have done. And listen, it didn't work out, Rick Pitino, but wish him all the best. And glad he's doing well, to be completely honest. It's nice to see him starting on Butler.
Yeah, it was funny he made some plays. I'm like, yeah, there's Posh.
Yeah.
We've seen that before.
But let's now focus in here. Wire to wire win. Shot 50% from the field. Under 30 from 3, Nick. I know your magic number there. 28% only from 3. 57% from the line, which was awful. 12 of 21.
Not good.
Fortunately, we didn't need them down the stretch, but that was pretty
Thank
bad. We out-rebounded them significantly, 11 by 11, plus 11 in the rebounding range, which is huge. And we had a plus 3 turnover margin. So good numbers for us there. We had contributors everywhere, even from, very surprisingly, Brady Dunlap.
Story of the week, for sure. But to start here against Butler, just was electric. I mean, he was all over the place. He got that shot down. He got a quick trigger.
It's exactly what we've been looking for years.
I know.
Since Margot Borgo, even before Brian Hooper. Right?
Let's hope Brady Dunlap's better than Marco Borgo.
We can only hope.
let's
Let's hope he's better than Mark Hooper. I mean, Mark Hooper.
Max Hooper.
Max Hooper too. Better than Max
Brian
Hooper
Hooper's
also.
our uncle.
Because Max Hooper, it was great everywhere except for St. John.
Correct. No, 100%.
But Brady Dunlap, 3 of 5 from 3, 5 of 7 from the field.
Brady Dunlap also in this game did a lot of other things besides just shoot 3-pointers. By the way,
That's great. That's a great point.
He played good defense.
Yeah.
He rebounded well.
He was electric off the bench.
He did. It was a very impressive performance by Brady Dunlap.
He absolutely. He came off. I'm sorry. He came off the bench, and he really was like a spark plug for our team. He came in, he banged a couple shots. He was energetic. He was on the ball. He was helping facilitate. He was swinging. He was exactly what we needed.
Yeah.
We would also have to mention Naheem Aline.
Yeah.
Good day for him again. 10 points. And now he's had other good performances. Brady Dunlap a bit more of a surprise. Aline has performed well previously, but he had a good day as well. 10 points for him. All of our starters, with the exception of Dingle, were in double digits.
Six guys in double.
This game was never in doubt.
Never in doubt.
Never in doubt.
No.
We led wire to wire. There's always that moment where you're like, oh, wait, are we going to give it up? Are we going to give it up? Didn't really happen.
No.
A little towards the beginning of the second half.
They had a good punch coming out of halftime, but never enough where we were like, where I would felt it was in real doubt that they were going to, catch us to the point where it was a back and forth game.
They were always chasing us.
Correct.
They were always chasing us, and we were keeping away from them. But they were always chasing.
Yeah.
They never really felt like they had control of the game. They always felt like they were chasing us, and that's the way I felt about it.
We did give up classic 25 points in Carnesecca to DJ Davis.
You got to be somebody.
There's always one.
There's always one. You can't. It's tough to get away.
But
without doing that.
It's funny. Last game of the year at Carnesecca, which is
it's very strange.
Early.
So by the way,
because of a lot more Big East games like UBS and whatever.
Not for nothing. Sold out again.
5-0
at Carnesecca Arena this year.
Yeah.
Can't do better.
Every win by 15 or more points.
Yeah, and
there we go.
It was it was a great crowd again. I mean, the thing about Carnesecca is it's real home court advantage.
Oh yeah, it's loud.
I mean, it is loud. It is
small.
it was good. So
Everybody's on top of you.
Can't wait to not see UConn fans there next year.
Absolutely. One thing too about this game that surprised me a little bit. Glenn Taylor didn't play. He played 8 seconds at the end of the first half and didn't play again. This guy was a starter. That was a pretty big surprise for that game.
It was interesting, certainly, and you can see that more so than any of our more recent previous coaches. The minutes and the time you play has to be completely tied to what you do in practice.
100%.
Because Glenn Taylor didn't play in this Butler game, but did very much play in the Villanova game. I didn't say very much, but
he played.
He played.
He played.
Right? He played more than the 8 seconds he played here in this game. But my point is, but you see the rotation changes almost every game.
Yeah.
Who's getting the most minutes it has to be tied to. The only thing I can assume it's tied to is how you do in practice.
Yeah, it must be. I mean, absolutely.
That's
not necessarily saying that it was the wrong, whatever the wrong decision. But I've read it after and that he had a good attitude about it, and you could see it. And he was in it, and he still worked hard in practice, and got back on the court for Villanova. So that's good.
He started against Villanova.
No, I know, and I think he's going to be important. He's an important player for us, to be honest. I mean, he plays really good defense. And
absolutely, he's a very important player for us.
That's good. I mean, it was interesting to see that he didn't play at all. I mean, I get Brady Dunlap was on fire,
he was on
and I'm
fire.
not saying you should have taken out Brady Dunlap.
I like that Rick Pitino has an older style where he's like, listen, the best 5 players when the basketball rolls out are going to play.
Yeah. That's good.
We're going to go with the hot hands in practice, and if they're doing good, they're doing good.
It's certainly been working for us recently.
Yes.
So you can't complain about it too much.
Absolutely not.
That was the start to the week. Very good. And the good week continued on. We went to the Pavilion at Villanova's campus, which we hadn't won in since 1993.
Before I was born.
And we came... That's a good point.
That's a great point.
I was one. We came out with a 10-point victory, 81-71, a wire-to-wire win again. We have not trailed since the 7:06 mark in the first half of the Hofstra game.
Which means we haven't trailed in 2024.
That's it.
A good point. Great point.
Let's hold on to that.
We're never going to lose again.
I'm okay with that.
Again, another great dominant win that we put together. 47% from the field, 43% from 3.
Much better.
Much better here.
Exactly.
76% from the free throw line, even better there. We actually shot the same number of shots too. We just made more of them. Another great performance by Brady Dunlap, by the way. He got, good to see him get his chance to start.
Yeah.
As Nick said, Pitino coming in, best guys are going to play. Glenn Taylor started, even though he only played 8 seconds against Butler. But you see that rotation, you see it change. We got Conway in the game, right? Wiltshire got more minutes. It's interesting to see how things kind of mix.
Yeah.
And how they tend to work out for us so far.
And we did have Ledlam was out.
Right, so we had to make up for
So
that.
we did have to fill that spot. And RJ Lewis is still fighting shin splints, so he has played more limited minutes than...
Still scored 11 points.
Yeah.
I didn't say we played bad minutes. I just said he played limited
No, you're
minutes.
right. You're right.
But you had to fill that gap a little bit. Might be why there were more minutes to go around for Glenn Taylor. And
I do want to give a shout out to RJ Lewis because he has been him and the combo of him and Brady coming out of in basically this week. I mean, RJ started last week too.
Yeah.
But really coming into their own this week has been huge for us. Brady has been the 3-point shooter we've needed for God knows how long. And RJ Lewis is the lane slasher, and he gets open, he hustles, he does all that. He's the playmaker. He's kind of he's an all round good player that can complement everybody else.
He can definitely create his own shot, and he can get to the basket as well as really anybody I've seen in a long time. So,
He's hurt.
And he's hurt.
Yeah, right.
Correct.
He's not
And
playing at
hurt.
100%.
I mean, like Dunlap. Just to talk about Dunlap for a second again, that the dagger three he hit towards the end of the second half was that is a shot that we have failed to make many times over the last decade, 15, 20 years. But having that is because it really iced the game. They were making a little bit of run. Dunlap, a great play by Aline too, which gets lost a little bit.
Yeah.
He doesn't pull up for the jumper that he normally makes anyway. It would have been a good shot, but he makes the extra pass, finds Dunlap wide open in the corner, who drills a three. And after that three, Villanova really never got close again.
It really demoralized
It really did
them.
get close. It really was a dagger. At the
It was
end.
certainly a bit closer than the Butler game.
Yes,
I mean they were
for
always
sure.
they were always kind of within striking distance, 6,
Sure.
routinely in the second half, particularly. But
Yeah.
I not to be overly optimistic, but I think we all flash back to, we're like somebody who's watching a baby hold an egg, right, on the concrete, and you're waiting for them to drop it. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. And I don't feel that as much with this team, and even in this game, I still felt this. Right, that's still our go-to thing, But with all due respect, from an outside perspective, if you watch this game, I don't know that that's the proper feeling. I don't know that anybody who's not a full-time St. John's fan watches all the time, watched this game and said, oh my God, they're going to give it up. My guess is they watched it and said, wow, these guys are better than them.
Yeah, it was funny.
They're continuing to keep them at arm's length because they're better than them.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's funny. I was thinking about this the other day. I know after the game, and I said, I'm thinking of all the reasons how we did it, and I'm thinking, maybe we're just good.
Yeah, maybe we're just a good team.
Maybe we're just good. Maybe it wasn't maybe we're just good, which is, hard to say and believe, I guess, but maybe I don't know, maybe we're just good because, I mean, we just played really well. I mean, we beat them. There's no doubt about it. We just dominated. We beat them in every facet.
It did help that they were missing. They missed. I mean, they went 21% from the 3-point line. They shot 6 for 28. So they did miss tons of shots.
But I think a lot of that has to do with our defense.
Yeah,
I think over the last couple weeks, but specifically this week, our defense has been very good. We're very much more connected. And if you watch, I was watching the rotations on guys. We do a great job of help defense in terms of rotating on guys. When 3-point shooter we cover that back up, and then we cover up the next guy, so they don't get the extra pass. A lot of times in years past, we would cover the guy who was about to take the shot, but then they get the extra pass, and the guy's wide open. Now that doesn't happen anymore. We are connected enough that we got the guy with the ball, and then someone fills in, so they don't get the extra pass wide open three.
And it's happening more and more each game.
We're getting better and better on defense, and I think that is key to us. Frankly, I think the defense was the biggest piece of this 2-0 week. So, the offense has been very good, but I think the defense really has done a huge leap forward.
So it's really been since that Boston College game, since Rick Pitino called out the defense.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, we've won 5 of those 6 games since. The only game we lost was UConn, which is a game we were in. We held them under 70 points. We held them to 69 points.
Right.
Nice.
You look at these numbers though, right? Fordham, the game directly after Wildcat, 55 points. They shot 25% from the field.
Yeah.
Xavier, we held them to 66. UConn, like I said, 69. Hofstra, we gave up 79 points. That was a bad game. But again, I do think there's a little bit of that. You talked about it, Craig. Letdown. You're playing Big East. Now you got to play Hofstra on a weird, in the middle of the New Year's, Christmas. So we'll give that one a bit of a pass. We shouldn't be giving up 79 points to Hofstra. But then you're right back at it. Butler, 70 points. Villanova, 71 points, which isn't great, but it's not that much. Giving up 71 and 70 points is not bad, particularly when you're holding them down, like Nick said. Villanova shooting so terribly from three. I do think that is our defense, and I think that our guys really took Pitino's words to heart and said, "Listen, we do have to be better on defense, so let's fix it."
Right. Yeah. Hey, listen, we're averaging 79.8 points a game. So if we're holding somebody to 70, 71, 72,
we're going to win a lot of games.
We're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
absolutely. This win takes us to 3-1 in the Big East. Great start for us.
The best start we've had since 2010, 2011.
Just absolutely spectacular.
Which that team.
Oh, Craig.
That team. If only DJ didn't get hurt, that team.
The team could have had a run.
Anyway,
they deserved a run. Anyway,
that team deserves a run. Anyway, not to
regardless
run it, but
before we get into the Big East,
I do want to give one shout out that we beat them at Wells Fargo when I was there in 2018 when they were number 1 in the country.
That's so true. We hadn't beat them at the Pavilion on Villanova's campus since 1993.
Nick, I thought you were going to shout out the block by your guy Zuby.
Yeah, that's what
I was
that would have been a better.
The sequence of him blocking it and then coming down and absolutely murdering the rim.
I mean, that block by Zuby was also one of the most cleanest.
Oh, it was beautiful.
It was just.
It was perfectly timed. It was beautiful.
I mean, it was a great thing to be.
It was a great sequence.
I thought that's where you were gonna.
I should have. If I was smarter, I probably would have.
We also didn't talk about Joel Soriano for these 2 games, by the way, because he just did Joel Soriano things.
Well, he missed out.
Not
on
that we have to talk about it for a long
too.
time, but 20 points against Villanova, and he dominated Eric Dixon.
He did. He certainly did dominate. And listen, you're right. We don't even talk about him. Why? Because it's kind of a guarantee. It's a luxury to have.
He had 20 and 8 with 3 assists, and we're like, yeah. So Brady Dunlap
shooting 70%.
And Jenkins had another good week too, by the way. Jenkins has also keyed this run.
For sure.
Not to end up bringing up everybody into the thing, but Jenkins cutting down the turnovers, and he scored 18 points against Villanova. He has been very important, and as he goes, we go a little bit.
Well, Craig, I'm very glad you brought up talking about the players because it is time for the Spotlight Player of the Week.
What a good transition.
What a good transition we had.
It's like I knew it was going to happen next.
All right, Craig, since you're already talking about our players here, who do you got? Who is your Spotlight Player of the Week?
So I want to go Brady Dunlap, but because he had such a breakout week, but I think I got to go with Jenkins. 18 points against Nova.
17 against Butler.
17 against Butler. And it's just key. I mean, really just overall, he does make our offense go. I mean, he had 7 assists against Butler, and he had 5 assists against Villanova. So overall, that's a great week. So honorable mention for me for Brady Dunlap, but I'm going to say Dennis Jenkins.
You guys, with the honorable mentions, you pick one player.
I said Jenkins.
It's the Spotlight Player of the Week. You pick one player. You vote for one player. We don't need honorable mentions.
You've given honorable mentions before.
I'm allowed to give honorable mentions, okay? Why? Because I do the counting, okay? And I know my honorable mentions don't actually count. Craig's hoping that by somehow saying the honorable mention, Dunlap is going to get a little extra point.
I mean,
well, half a point.
Give him like a quarter point.
See what I'm saying? That's not how this works, okay? Your vote is for Dennis Jenkins, and that's fine.
Have another tie again.
We're not going. Well, I don't think we're going to. I'm voting for Brady Dunlap. Brady Dunlap, really came out of his own this week. Got to go and shooting 60% from 3 this week. He is 6 of 10 in these 2 games. Obviously, the first real time we've gotten to see him in full action. 13 points against Butler, came back, got the start against Villanova, 15 points. He is what the Spotlight Player of the Week is made for, and he is my Spotlight Player of the Week. Nick, who you got?
Ooh, do I break the tie? Do I make it a tie and
add
somebody else?
The last time you had to break a tie, you decided to become a Cubs fan, so you didn't have to split the family up. So I'm not really sure we're relying on the right guy here, but let us know.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to go with Brady Dunlap. without a doubt. I mean,
Craig will be happy because he thinks some
It's
quarter
fair.
point got him there.
that's really what it was. He was the spark plug off the bench we needed. He was, he did everything we needed to. He made the shots we needed him to do. He closed out the game. He did all this. Without a doubt, gotta be Brady Dunlap. I do want to give an honorable mention to R.J. Lewis because I'm hoping he also gets a quarter point.
All right. So if Craig and Nick's way, the final vote would be like Brady Dunlap 2 and a quarter point, Dennis Jenkins 1 vote, and then R.J. Lewis a quarter of a vote. The way it actually goes is Brady Dunlap 2, Dennis Jenkins 1. Brady Dunlap is the Spotlight Player of the Week, number 1 for him. First time
ever.
First one ever. I mean, he's a freshman, so good for him getting the Spotlight Player of the Week in his first year.
I feel like I would call it 1 for 1 for him. This was his first real chance to really get the Spotlight Player of the Week.
I think you're right. I think he's batting 1,000 because this was absolutely, I think, his first chance. Let's take a big picture view of where the team is at right now. I mentioned 3-1 in the Big East. That actually has us tied for the first.
Hey.
The good news is it's early in the season, so there's we're in first. The unfortunate part is we're tied with 4 other teams. Seton Hall also 3-1, but UConn 3-1, Villanova 3-1. Because of our loss, we put ourselves tied for first because of our Villanova win.
Seton Hall. Very interesting.
So, I mean, they're having a great stretch.
Very interesting.
What a microcosm.
I mean, you get blown out by Xavier in the middle of a stretch where you're beating UConn, Marquette, and Providence. I mean,
and they're injuring star players along the way.
yes. Right, that may be exactly their key, right?
The key.
Took out Hopkins,
To Klingon.
took out Clingan. Not for nothing, but
Who do they play next?
Fortunately, they don't play us for like another week. Let's hope they get that out of their system, and we can not have any injuries when we play them.
Yeah, that would be good. Well, yeah.
Not much change at the bottom of the Big East. Georgetown and DePaul still sitting down there. Butler, though, despite having a great offseason, has struggled a bit now that they've hit Big East play. I mean, offseason, preseason, or out of conference schedule. They've struggled a bit. 1-3 only coming into this week. So as much as we said, oh, they're a good team, they had a rough week where they got beat by UConn and by St. John's in the same week.
That's why I said it was a must-win, because you can't lose to a Butler team that you don't know how good they're going to be.
You're
at
not.
home.
Sure. That's correct. That's fair. I think it ended up being. But yeah, so that's where we stand right now in the Big East. No place better than being number 1.
Can't beat that.
So
Place we haven't been very often.
not recently. Anyway, looking at
I don't
our,
remember the last time we were 1 in the Big East.
I mean, probably there was some stretch where we were 1-0 or something like that.
Yeah, when we beat Xavier.
yeah,
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, looking at our net rankings, I know it's still early, but 33 in the net, very respectable.
That's really good.
Exactly, we're ahead of Villanova, just right ahead of them, 34 at the time. But listen, you want to be in that range because that's going to be the quote unquote blind resume they're looking at is going to include the net rankings. So if you can remain up there, and the way you do that is A, through wins, and B, through competition. The competition is going to be there for us, no doubt.
Sure.
Because
lots
of
of
the Big East
opportunities.
games.
Lots of opportunities.
But if we keep getting wins, we're going to keep staying high in the Big East, in the net rankings by staying high in the Big East. And that's how you successfully make the tournament. So right now, Craig, tell us what your guy Joe Lenardi has us at, because I know you're a big bracketology guy.
Joe Lenardi has us as the first 4 out.
So he's moved us up. Last week, I believe we were the
first.
next 4 out.
There we go.
We're in the next round.
Maybe you should just start your own bracketology.
Well, I go to usually use Bracket Matrix. That's my
So you're just
Bracket
cheating on Joe Lenardi.
Yeah. Bracket Matrix. It takes all of the brackets across all the internet and averages them out, and that's what it gives you. It's actually super useful.
That does sound very
It's
useful.
super useful. Let's see where we're on Bracket Matrix. Actually, I haven't looked at it yet.
So I no disrespect to bracketologists. They do good work because it allows me to spend my days at work clicking around the internet instead of actually doing work. But I do think that their job is particularly easy because half the field is automatic bids that they don't even really say. They just go like whoever wins the MEAC or the SWAC, they're going to get in, and that's fair. Obviously, they don't know that, but I guess if you're going to be a bracketologist, you probably should know that.
It's your whole job.
We did it one time.
And to be honest, it's not even that hard because, with all due respect, the real decision is about 4 or 5 teams who are the first 4 out and then the last 4 in. That's where it really comes down to, and the bracketologists are okay. But my guess is they're no better than the average person.
The reality is, if you get like 1 or 2 wrong, that's really bad.
Oh yeah.
Frankly, I mean, 1, okay, fine, but if you get more than 1 wrong, you didn't really do that great of a job because if you follow it, it's not going to be correct.
They also never guess seating. Like they say, oh, the seating I just put.
Yeah, they do.
Some of them guess, some of them.
They do.
But I digress. Not a bit important. Where are we at in this bracket matrix here, sir?
So we're currently having us as a 12 seed in.
I like that one better.
Yes, yeah. Joe and Artie.
Well, actually,
What a bum.
Let's see. It has us as the last team in. Bracket matrix as the last team in the tournament, just ahead of Northwestern.
Better to be in than not be in.
That's where they have us. They would have us as the last team in. They actually, bracket matrix, not to do like a shout out for them, but they also rank the bracketologists to tell you how accurate they are over the course of the years, and they give a bracketologist of the year, whoever gets it correct.
That's actually awesome.
Who's the best? Who's the most accurate?
It varies. Let me say.
What is
I'm
it
sure
right
it
now?
changes
Where's
year to
Joe
year.
Lenardi? Where are you at?
He's in middle of the pack. Last year, the thing is, there's also like a lot of people who do brackets, so it is a little fluke, right? Because you're getting like all kinds. Like the guy who won last year was Jake Laker. I don't know who that was, but he's the guy who was the most correct. But
Oh, good for him.
bracketometry.
Shout out him.
Over the last 3 years, bracketometry was the most consistently correct bracket. Anyway,
Good to keep an eye on, for sure.
Just a thing, you're bored at work,
This way, as we head on to this next week, big week for us here, continuing the St. John's season. But, we're in a good place right now. Obviously, that's, pretty common sense when you're 3-1 in the Big East and you've had a decent offseason. I keep calling it an offseason, a decent non-conference season like we've had. But as we head into this week, a jam-packed week, we got 2 games this week, and we're going to cover 1 game at the start of next week as well. But first game of the week is home against Providence, 6:30 on Fox Sports 1. That game's on Wednesday.
Scariest mascot in all of that.
Definitely, yes, we've talked about that at length. Absolutely terrifying.
Got to be noted.
I know I've asked this question probably for the past 2 weeks, absolutely on the past 2 weeks on the podcast. Is this a must-win game?
Providence at home with no Bryce Young is a must-win game.
Yeah, with no Bryce Young.
In my opinion.
I agree.
No,
my opinion, it's gotta be him.
Bryce Hopkins, not Bryce Young.
Oh, Bryce Young is
Bryce Young is the quarterback of the
my
Carolina.
bad, my bad.
Listen, if Bryce Young was playing for Providence, it may not be, because that would be some kind of charity game, I assume. But
yes, without Bryce Hopkins, who is now out for the season, unfortunately for Providence, Providence at home is certainly not a game we can lose. They're still reeling. We need to beat them at home. That'd be my opinion.
They're not. They obviously they got beat by Seton Hall last week.
Correct.
And
then Creighton.
And then Creighton finished off the week. They're in a rough spot.
It sucks for Providence.
It sucks because they were doing very well. They
had a lot of
ranked
buzz.
11-4.
Yeah.
Seemingly in a great place. Kim English coming in first year. He's got a good team put together, and then you get an injury like this, and it's hard to bounce back, particularly in the middle of Big East play, right? You get an injury like that in the beginning of the season, maybe you can figure something out. You now kind of have to restructure your team, and back-to-back nights you're playing Seton Hall, you're playing Creighton, now you're playing St. John. It all of a sudden it's piling up quick, and it's going to be tough for them to make up for it. Give you some other names to look at. Obviously now Bryce Hopkins not there. Devin Carter, their leading scorer, averaging just under 17 points a game, is shooting 48% from the field. He's a good guard. Hopkins was their second leading scorer and their leading rebounder. Josh Oduro, I assume, will kind of fill that role. He was their second leading rebounder. He has 6.5 rebounds, 14 points a game. He'll be the guy that I guess Soriano will probably match up with now. But again, Kim English is going to have to rework things, right? If their offense and a lot of their defense too ran very much through Bryce Hopkins, so it's hard to overcome a loss like that, and it's going to be interesting to see how they can fix things. Obviously, they couldn't do it for that Creighton game; they got beat pretty bad. But I think you're 100% right, Craig. This team comes in here, particularly on the stretch we're on, right? We're playing really well. This is not a game we can stumble over, and hopefully we put ourselves in a place to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we talked about, this is a tough stretch for us, and this is a game that we need to win.
Yeah, I think now even more so than before.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Nick, is our recipe for success here? Without Bryce Hopkins, do you think we try to just continue to hammer Joel Soriano, or do you think we kind of stick to the live and die by the 3 type style that we've been playing for most of the season.
I like a little bit. I like a mix of both. I like giving it down low to Soriano a little bit, but then you could kick it out to Brady now that he's proven himself as a 3-point shooter that can catch and shoot, right? So now we can play a little inside outside, and we can get a little shifty now, especially without their best guard. So now they're going to be a little hectic on defense because they're still figuring out their rotations without their best guy, their best player on the floor.
Yeah,
that's a lot of change for a team.
it is.
Do you think Brady Dunlap gets the start again? I mean, I guess obviously Chris Ledlam injury pending as well, but do you think we find Brady Dunlap coming out in the starting lineup here against the Providence Friars?
I think even with Ledlam, I like him better in the starting lineup. I think he brings a much different game than Ledlam. I think Ledlam's game is very similar to Soriano's game, and Soriano's better at it. Right. I think Brady complements Soriano and the rest of the team more because he can open up the floor more.
I tend to agree with you, Nick. I think he brings us that 3-point shooting, and he brings us something that our team has lacked for a while, and I think he gives us more, I guess, of a different look on the court than Ledlam does. No disrespect, Ledlam. I think I know sometimes he can play a little reckless, but I think he's a good player.
I think I disagree with both of you. I think if Ledlam's not injured, he's gonna start.
Yeah.
I think that he has proven himself. I mean, the guy. Look at it. I mean, if you look at his stats, I mean, the guy, he's a rebounding machine. He gets his points. I'm not this is not a knock on Brady, and I think to your point, I think Dunlap does give us a different element in terms of spacing the floor and that kind of good stuff. So it's not like he's not gonna play, and he's gonna play a significant minutes. It just in terms of starting. I think Ledlam started. I think if he comes back, I guess he started. I mean,
you're not wrong.
He started against Butler, and he was only at 75%. The guy still put up a double.
I mean, he averages 11 points and 8 rebounds. I mean, he's a great player. I was saying he's not a bad player. I don't think he is. I wonder if Nick is too correct in that he plays a similar game to Soriano. So when you're coming out and you're starting, with your starting five, is it better to have a different look? By having somebody like Dunlap in the lineup is what my thought would be. Yes, but as we know, or as we've talked about, I think it's going to come down to A, first of all, if Chris Ledlam is healthy, but B, who's playing better in practice.
True. If just because Ledlam starts doesn't mean that Dunlap can't start. By the way,
correct.
So I think it's probably likely that they both start. Frankly, to be honest,
my guess would be Glenn Taylor then finds the bench.
It would show if you look at the Butler game that's where that would probably happen, to be honest.
Fair. I think that's probably likely to be the starting lineup.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Great problem to have when you're trying to squeeze people into the starting lineup.
We have been successful at having different guys step up for us at different moments, and that is a recipe for success always.
Yeah,
in college basketball. All right, the second game of the week is against the Creighton Blue Jays at Omaha. A game at 1 o'clock on Saturday on Fox, if you're watching at home, unless you're in Omaha. Shout out to Omaha, nice city. Been there many times in my life, covering Creighton, actually. And great hotel connected to the stadium. We've talked about it before, but it is a very great setup in the Big East. If you do have an opportunity to go out, we don't play very well there, so probably don't go out to a St. John's game, but
we do not
go out to a different game and see where you can actually root for Creighton. I don't know if we ever have. At least not in recent memory.
It's definitely not a place we've played well at, and we are 1-11 all time at Creighton, which is not really great. And we've lost 6 in a row, not necessarily away, but 6 in a row to Creighton, which is also not very good. Yeah,
we don't play well against them at home either. Now listen, Creighton has been very good recently. They started off the season ranked very high. They have struggled a bit this year though. They came into Big East play. They're 2-2. So far, they lost to Villanova and they lost to Marquette. They did beat Georgetown and Providence, but obviously Providence without Bryce Hopkins, so maybe a bit of grain of salt there. They even struggled a bit out of conference. They lost to Colorado State, who's a good team, but they also had a loss to UNLV, which is not a good loss.
Yeah,
they did have a good win. They beat Alabama, but I
don't know. I think they got a raw deal a little bit, to be completely honest. I mean, they were ranked 8th in the country, lost to UNLV. Not great, not a great loss by all means. They come back and beat Alabama, then they lose to Villanova, and then by 2 points, and then they lose to Marquette. Both of them are at Marquette, by the way, in a 5-point game. They drop from 8th all the way to out of the rankings. I mean, you want to tell me there shouldn't be 8th? 100% don't disagree with you. But telling me that they don't deserve to be ranked in the top 25, that seems a little aggressive to me.
Yeah,
to
I
be
mean
completely
that's a
honest.
fall. That's a far.
I mean,
drop.
those really weren't bad
Yeah.
teams they lost to, frankly.
I mean, the UNLV loss is a bad loss.
It's a bad loss, but they didn't fall out after that. When they lost to UNLV, they only dropped to 22nd. Okay,
Right. Well, right, but yeah.
No, they dropped to 12th. They dropped to 12th. Then they lost to Nova and dropped to 22nd. That's way too far.
That
of
is a
drop.
huge fall for
That's way
losing
too
to
far of a
Nova.
drop
Yeah,
to
I
lose to
mean-
Nova close.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's funny because you see respect for the Big East in some areas,
Yeah.
with like Seton Hall beating UConn and UConn going up in the rankings.
Yeah.
But I guess you see a little disrespect here for Creighton.
Yeah, it's
in
just-
that they have a stumble when it's not really warranted. I agree with you. I don't think it is warranted. Don't worry, they have a chance to. Not a chance. They'll beat DePaul before they play us this week, so they'll get back on they'll continue the 2-game winning streak they're
Well,
on.
they are close. They could be ranked in this new rankings potentially, but we'll see.
Vincent, that's our sister school.
Listen, I love DePaul and I wish them all the best, but
Someone's got to lose.
someone's got to
It's true.
lose, and
ain't gonna
unfortunately,
be us anymore.
It's been DePaul for a very long time, and looking like it's gonna. This year is not the year they're turning it around.
I'm okay with it being Georgetown this year too.
Oh, they're certainly down there.
Did you see that Georgetown DePaul game? Woof.
I mean, yeah, that was an unfortunate one that had to be scheduled, right? Like that's one where you go.
Unfortunately, I
"Oof."
have to do that twice.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Let's give you a little look at this Creighton team because they are, even though they're not ranked, they're a very talented team.
They're a very talented
and I do think that this is a game we could struggle in because we've not only because we've struggled against Creighton recently. They seem to play a style of basketball that is exactly counter to us, at least in recent past, and we'll see if that continues. But anyway, Baylor Shireman, their leading scorer, almost 18 points a game, also averages 8 rebounds a game. Good shooter. He's going to be a headache for us.
Yeah.
Just find out. Trey Alexander's still there. Some of these names are familiar.
Yeah.
Kalkbrenner's still there.
I'm pretty sure Trey Alexander was there when I was in college.
I can tell you guys are sticking around a lot longer. They got COVID years and redshirt years.
Yeah.
And extra
true.
years now. It is getting a little ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure
but-
there's somebody in the NCAA who actually has 2 doctorate degrees. Legitimately.
I think so. There's
That
guys
is
play
true.
each season.
Yeah,
based
yeah.
on medical red shirts and stuff.
So Shireman, Alexander, and Kalkbrenner, they've been there for a long time. That's been their big three, if you will, and that's still their big three. Those are the 3 guys on their team who average double-digit points, and those are the 3 guys who we're really going to have to, stop if we want to win this game.
It'll be an interesting matchup between Kalkbrenner and Soriano.
It always is.
As always, right? I mean,
Those are two
Soriano
of the
versus
biggest
everybody,
bigs.
right?
Yeah, well, also, Kalkbrenner is one of the best bigs also in the league.
Yeah.
I think last year too. If Kalkbrenner had been around in the tournament, Creighton would have went farther because
Oh,
they
yeah.
almost beat.
He's one of their best
I
players.
agree. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they were 18. They almost upset. I think what was it, Arizona?
Somebody
Somebody
that.
like that.
I forget, but they also dropped him down because they lost Kalkbrenner.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean the injuries always hurt you, right? And when it's your center, when it's a position like that, where you don't have an immediate replacement, right? Because no disrespect to guards, but usually teams have 2 good guards, or
That's true.
you can find a team with 2 good forwards.
for
Who can,
sure.
a center or a big like that is a hard position. Usually there's one guy, so you do get a little drop down in the thing, and that's what happened to them last year. And yes, I think with Kalkbrenner they could have gone a little farther, and I think that's why they were so highly rated coming into this season because they looked at this team and said, this is very much the team that finished strong last year, but they have Kalkbrenner too, and in the tournament, they played decently. But, coming into this week, they're coming off 2 wins. So we'll see what we get at the end of this week. Certainly a big matchup. But I don't have it as a must-win, and I don't
agree.
know if it's a game we're necessarily going to win.
I think much like the UConn game, because it's at Creighton, this is a game where it's a little bit house money. Creighton, I think, is still going to be one of the better teams in the Big East. I think they're probably still one of the top 4 teams in the Big East. So playing at Creighton, we haven't historically done very well. Wouldn't say it's a must-win. Great opportunity for us if we were to win this game.
For sure.
This game, no matter, is a quad 1 opportunity for us, which is huge.
Absolutely. And it's going to remain. It'll
And it will
that
remain
way.
a quad 1, especially on the road. It'll
Yeah.
certainly be a quad 1 opportunity. So if we can go get this, that's a great win for us, and that'll really, really move
Absolutely.
us up. But I don't know that I would say it's a must win. I think it's
No,
I think it's
I
a
don't
big
think it
opportunity, but not a must win.
So those are the 2 games for this week. We also, right after the holiday weekend, we stay on the road, if you will. We play at Seton Hall.
Quick pit stop on the way home.
Yeah, at Seton Hall. That game is on the 16th. It's on Tuesday at 8:30 on Fox Sports 1 at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, where we have been absolutely abysmal, just like we've been
Another house of horrors.
in Omaha. Maybe they did that on purpose. They're like, you know what? St.
must
John's
have.
is very bad in Omaha and very bad in Newark recently. Let's put them back to back.
Yeah.
Let's give St. John's fans something to pull their hair out over.
Something about those royal blue teams.
That's every
That's
team.
every team, everybody except Providence.
It's not royal blue.
Oh, true. That's royal.
That's why I said royal.
You're right. Okay.
Every team in the Big East has blue, with the exception of Providence.
Correct.
In some as an alt color or as a main color, and royal blue is everybody except for Providence and Xavier.
And St. John's.
Well, and St. John's, but yes, I'm not talking about us.
Also, by the way, just to go back to Newark, speaking of 1-11, like we're 1-11 against Creighton all time, we are 1-11 in our last 12 games at the Rock in Newark.
Last year when we absolutely should have won, we lost by 20 points.
Correct. So
Yeah.
that's not great. I can tell you, not great. Not great.
Now, you're not wrong, Craig. That is not great.
Not
That is what
great.
we call not great, and particularly not great considering Seton Hall is having such a great run. They beat UConn, they beat Providence, they beat Marquette. We already talked about that. Obviously, they have a week of games in between us, which, listen, they also got blown out by Xavier. So they're playing at Georgetown and at Butler, though. You got to think that at Georgetown game is a win. The at Butler is tough. Like we said, they're a good team. I could see Seton Hall maybe stumbling there like they've stumbled against Xavier, but you don't know. So you don't know where they're going to be at in terms of a streak or anything like that. But
Could be a very interesting matchup.
it's going to be an interesting matchup.
Right.
And more important than that, Seton Hall is clearly stepping forward as somebody that we're going to be also, fighting with position for in the Big East, much like Villanova. So this game, I think even though this game is on the road, because we've played so bad here, this is a game that you want to win more than in other games. Like if we lose at Omaha, I don't want that one as much as I want the Seton Hall win at Seton Hall because I think what that does is it shows a shift, right? And I think also the close proximity to each other is
well, there's
is
certainly,
what
there's
does
certainly
that.
a rivalry.
There's
But
a rivalry.
I think by beating Seton Hall in Newark, we can kind of push off one hump off our back. I don't think we're going to do it twice in 1 week, so I don't think we're going to win in Omaha and in Seton Hall. That would be too much to handle.
I mean,
I think we
you
could
never
do it.
know.
The answer is we could do it. We could do it, although we've played so terribly in those two places that
we played. Yeah.
if we were to do it, I mean,
One thing-
out of my mind.
One
I'd
thing
be
I will
excited.
say, which I read in an article that Zach Brazil wrote, these players have never played bad in Omaha. And
That's true.
so while we
Come on,
all
Craig.
have
Come on.
this PTSD,
Rick Pitino hasn't either.
these guys don't.
That's silly.
It's true though.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't mean they're gonna win. I'm just telling you. I'm trying to be optimistic.
It's
all
silly
right?
optimism.
I
Silly
don't know.
optimism.
I don't know if that's silly optimism. I think
No,
that's
that's not true.
regular
Joel
optimism.
Soriano has lost there.
That is also correct. Joel Soriano has
And so
lost
has
there
Grace.
every time.
And he's only played there twice.
Well, that's 2 losses. That was 4 losses
Right?
combined.
Twice? No, but at home.
I mean, you're right, on the road.
Right.
Only on the road. You only count the road games. But, no, the Creighton one's not only on the road. Those are at home, too.
Though, yes, that's true.
We've lost
The
6
last
in a
6 in a
row,
row to Creighton,
to
yeah.
Creighton, which means Joel Soriano has never beaten Creighton.
That's correct.
And
That's so correct.
And he's never beaten Seton Hall at Seton Hall because we've lost 11. We've won 11 out of 1, but one of those was not in the past 2 years.
Yeah, the one that was during a snowstorm when there was no fans.
Yeah. Well,
That's the one we won in the Rock.
all right.
What at Seton? Oh, you mean at
the Rock.
I was gonna say because we won one on campus.
We did win
We
one on
did.
campus.
We did win at Walsh.
I was there.
At Walsh
At
Gym.
Walsh Gym.
Actually, Joel Soriano was on that team.
Yeah, he was.
Joel
That was
Soriano.
with
So he
George
has one
Champagne.
win at
Seton
in Seton Hall, but that's in South Orange, not in Newark, which is where the game is being
It's a
played.
great building.
So, as much as that's true, the cloud over St. John's,
Look,
is
trust me, I live it. I know.
is certainly
Oh, yeah.
still existing. And as we all know in sports, some boogeymen are hard to get rid of.
That's true. I look, we live in New Jersey, and I refuse to go to the Seton Hall games
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's a house of horror. So
I went
trust me,
last
I
year
know.
to try to change that.
I
That
know.
didn't work
Yeah,
out.
I
So
know.
you won't see me there this year.
It would be sweet too to beat Dylan Adewusu in his. Well, it's not a returning, but in his rubber match. Not a rubber match either. I don't even know what you would call it.
I don't know. I don't know ill will towards Dylan today.
I don't have any ill will, but I mean, in the same fact that we were playing Posh for the first time, it was his return.
Yeah, it's a.
I guess there's no ill will, but I still don't. First of all, I don't want anybody to beat us.
Oh,
Second
I
of
don't.
all-
I mean,
you're
I don't want-
correct.
I don't want them to
Second of all,
beat
as a
us.
New Jerseyan, I don't want Seton Hall to beat us. I went to Seton Hall law. Like I don't want to hear from anybody that I know that Seton Hall is better.
Listen, I went to Seton Hall undergrad.
Yeah, I
Believe me,
mean-
I understand, but I I don't think the Dylan Adewusu part has anything to do with it. I like seeing a guy like him because I like him. So.
I liked him, but that doesn't mean I don't want to beat him.
Oh, I definitely want to.
I absolutely want to beat him.
I wanted to beat Bosch too. I like Bosch. I love Bosch, but
it
still
doesn't mean
wanna beat him. I didn't want him to play well.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
I want Dylan Adewusu to do what he did sometimes with us, where he drive into the lane 800 times in a row and have Joel Stern block him 16 times.
That would be spectacular.
That'd be great. Love that. Love that for us.
So obviously, as Nick mentioned, Dylan is on the team. He's a regular player for them. So we're going to see a lot of him. Gets a lot of minutes. He's a starter. Maybe not a starter, but he started some games this season.
No, he's a starter. I think he's a regular.
Kadari Richmond, their leading scorer, we will see a lot of. 15 points a game, 6 rebounds for him, 47% from the field. He will be shooting the ball quite often. Fortunately, he's not a three-point shooter, so we won't have to deal with that at least. Dre Davis, their number 2 guy, 13.5 points a game. He is a bit of a three-point shooter, so he's averaging 38% from the three. There's their 2 guards. That they'll have to deal with. Also, they're maybe not the 2 guards, but Alamir Dawes is also one of their star guards.
Yeah.
They're guard heavy, as you can hear. He'll be someone we'll also have to have some headaches with. Joel Soriano will be going up against Jaden Bediako. He's their center. He's averaging just under 9 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, 55% from the field. So they are going to get it down low and hope he can get it over Joel. But I like our chances in this matchup, to be completely honest. I think Soriano is listen, he handles his own, right? We know Joel is going to do his own. And I think actually, in most of them we're saying, how's he going to do against a 7-footer? How's he going to do it? He's a better big than Bediako. And I think he's going to be able, we're going to be able to exploit that.
I mean, Joel Soriano, frankly, should be an All-American right now.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
He's probably the biggest player of the year at current moment. I mean, so I feel confident against him going up against frankly anybody.
I mean, yes, that is true.
There's nobody I doubt he can do, but I think you're right in this. Oppose a Cockbrenner, where he's a good big man too. I don't know that the Seton Hall. Bediako is not necessarily in the same level at this current moment.
That was more so the point I was trying to make, is that they're also a guard-heavy team, so they're going to rely on their guards more so than Bediako, whereas, for us, it's an even split, and he's not even really in the same tier as Soriano. So I do think this is an area where we can really get it down low and dominate in the paint.
I think for us, the real thing about this game is going to be, I think we're a better team than Seton Hall. I just do. I think it depends what Seton Hall team kind of shows up, right? They're home, so we're going to get potentially a home Seton Hall team, which has been scorching hot. Or we can get the team that played Xavier, which was terrible. Maybe not terrible, but they were not good.
No, they got beat by 20 points.
They got beat by 20 points. They were pretty... To come off a UConn win that was so impressive, to play like that at Xavier was just like, it was a fluke. But then they go on, and then they beat Providence, although, Bryce Hopkins goes down, and then they beat Marquette at home. And it's like, what is this team?
I don't know. I mean, it'll be a good test. I think you're going to get home Seton Hall. Seton Hall has always played very well at the Rock. They do.
They get a good crowd.
They get a very good crowd, and they play well. I mean, they play very well.
It'll be interesting to see, and let's get a little into it here. 3 games we talked about, right? I think the Providence game is a must-win. I think the Creighton, you're playing with house money, and I think the Seton Hall game is a game we should win. So I'm happy if we come out of these 3 games 2-1. Not happy if we come out 1-2. Ecstatic if we come out 3-0. Where do you see us falling, or where do you see us ending after these 3 games?
I got us 3-0, baby.
Nick,
I'm riding
super
high.
positive, riding high on the...
For sure. First of all, Providence with no Bryce Hopkins, easy money. At Creighton, we're just a better team. Soriano's more dominant. We got better guards. Brady Dunlap's...
Maybe we're due. Maybe we're due for a win.
Fair. And then against Seton Hall, I think we're a better team, and I think they don't show up at home for our game. And I think we just take advantage.
I like the positivity. If nothing else, I appreciate you being excited.
If we go 3-0 this week, we will be. I mean, we better be ranked. We'll be 6-1 in the Big East.
No, it will certainly be ranked.
We'd certainly be ranked. I mean, if we win 3 games, we'd be 14-4.
Our
we
net.
would 100%. Our net would be in the top 20.
We'd be top 15.
We would be 100% ranked. There's no doubt about it if we were to win 3 in a row. Because also, look at.
Well, just looking. By the way, looking at Seton Hall is probably likely to be ranked and probably stay ranked by the time we play them.
I mean, they should be ranked after winning those 3 games.
Creighton has a good shot at being ranked as well.
Creighton has a very good.
So you're talking about getting it 2 ranked wins.
Yeah.
With a win against Providence, who although obviously lost Bryce Hopkins and is no longer ranked.
That'd be a quad 1 win.
It's
quad 1 win.
100%.
No, it's Providence
will
home.
not be.
It's at home.
No, it's at home. Sorry,
Sorry, I meant to say this before. Providence will be a quad 2 opportunity. Creighton will be a quad 1 opportunity, and Seton Hall could be a quad 1 opportunity. It depends. So right now, Seton Hall is on that fringe. So Seton Hall is 73. So currently, right now, their road game would be a quad 1, but if they were to fall out of under 75, it would be a quad 2. So we'll see.
All right, so Nick has us 3-0. Craig, what do you think we're doing?
I think we're gonna go 2-1. I think we exercise one of the demons, either Creighton or Seton Hall, but I don't think we get both of them.
You think Providence is a lock?
I think we beat Providence at home.
Yeah,
I think we do. I think they're still kind of reeling and figuring it out, and I think we're playing really well. And at home, I think we beat Providence. I think we only beat one of the 2. I don't know which one it is. I just think we beat one of the 2. That's my cautious, optimistic look. Without I love there to be 3, but I think if we win 2 or 3, like Vincent said, I'll feel really good because this is it's a tough stretch. Because after this, we got
it is a tough stretch. But here's the thing, actually. So after Providence is home, after Creighton and Seton Hall on the road, we come home for 4 of our next 5 games.
that is good.
And they're tough. It's Marquette, Villanova again, then's the one away games at Xavier. Then we play home against UConn, and then DePaul is an easy one. But you're talking about it's an extremely hard stretch, like we talked about in the last episode. But we are home, and I have to say, yes, we're going to be at the Garden. We're not going to be at Carnesecca. It's good to be home.
It's always good
to be home. And if we're going to get Marquette for the first time, better to get them home. Let's get that win. Let's hope that Villanova, we beat them on the road. We can beat them at home. We lock up a sweep right there, and that is big for seeding in the Big East. So that's why, as much as it is a tough stretch, being home there for us, I think is going to be a nice change of pace. Because obviously we're coming off of 2 of the worst places to play for us.
So. Yeah. I just gotta say I don't love that we're playing Marquette and UConn both at noon.
Yeah, I don't ever like playing at noon.
We
play terribly at noon.
I agree. I'm gonna give me the 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock game.
My philosophy, my thinking is because we play every game at the Garden. So when it's a noon game, we're like it's a noon game, whatever. But every other team that comes into the Garden is playing at the Garden. So they're going to get up for that game at noon. Whereas we get up for the game, or we do, but we're a little lethargic.
Usually by the second half we wake up.
Yeah, by the second half.
But yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. We play terribly at noon. If we could change that, let's get Rick Pitino working on that.
That'd be good.
Get more games at the Garden, spectacular, less games at noon.
Vincent.
But to Craig's point, none of these players have played at Madison Square Garden at noon except Joel Soriano.
That's right. Vincent, what do you got us this week?
So I think we go 2-1. I think we get the win against Providence, and I think we beat Seton Hall. But I think we lose to Creighton. At Creighton, I think they're a better team than they're, ranked. I guess I think they deserve to be, higher ranked for sure. And I think they're a little disrespected. So I do think that they're still a demon we're not going to be able to exercise this time. But I do think we're going to win at the Rock. I think we're a better team than Seton Hall. And listen, Seton Hall is playing great in those 3 games where they beat ranked teams, but they are an up-and-down team. And the loss to Xavier shows that, and their non-conference schedule shows that. And I think, it depends on which team you get, but I also think that our defense has been playing so well that we can make the bad team come out, right? We can make the down in the up-and-down teams come out. Which is why I think we come away with a win against Seton Hall and go 2-1 in this next little stretch and definitely find ourselves ranked by doing that.
That would be great.
We're off to a great start already in the Big East.
We are.
And I do think it's going to continue at least in these next few games. So, listen, it's an exciting time. The Rick Pitino effect has not worn off, which is great because that means that winning is happening, right? By now, if it had worn off, it would have been like, oh, we're in a struggle. We're not, and things are happy, and everyone has reason to be excited. And we're happy to, be here along with you for the ride and bring you the stories of St. John's basketball.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that'll do it. For Craig and Nick, I'm Vincent. Go Johnnies. Keep chasing.